All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to our last Friday night, sad day, of our One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Summit. It has been absolutely amazing and healing and wonderful. And I just want to thank all of you who are watching and participating. The outpouring of comments and light and posts and emails that I have gotten are just incredible. And I hope to be able to share those as we wrap up the summit. But it's really been just so powerful for so many of you individually and for all of us as a community of light. And so thank you so much for that. And I was in meditation this morning and I just thought of that time, back 20, 30 years ago where Friday night came along and Dad came home from work and everybody had their dinner and they sat down as soon as the news was over for that prime time show. And tonight is it for sure. And so what an amazing time that we can live stream a workshop filled with light during prime time on our smart televisions in the middle of our living room, because that is where my family is right now, ready for this to start. And I think it's just really powerful. And I'm so honored to welcome Julie Hoyle back again to share with us her gifts and her workshop tonight. Welcome back, Julie.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm really excited.
Me too. Thank you so much. And I'm going to hand it over to you, and everybody just enjoy. One last note, you can still register for One Heart, One Earth at oneheartoneearth.net. This is not the end. So register, because there will be more to come as time goes on, and I'm going to click off and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, welcome everybody. As I said, I'm really excited. I'm really thrilled actually to be presenting this evening's workshop on the art of lucid dreaming. It is probably my favorite topic or theme, because those of you that know my story know that my spiritual journey began with a lucid dream. And I'll speak about that a little as we go. But for those who don't know me, my name is Julie Hoyle. I'm a transformation coach, an author, an artist, and an educator. And for many, many years now, via my website, juliehoyle.org, I've been offering intuitive development programs, healing modalities, life purpose readings, spiritual coaching, and I also offer programs in collaboration with Daily Om, one of which is Be Your Own Guru. Another one is From Turmoil to Transformation. And I also offer an online program via my website, juliehoyle.org, which is titled Living in Alignment. And that is to support people to connect in with the truth of who they are and to live from that place, to utilize their innate gifts, skills, and talents, and to essentially live a transformed life. So I do want to say, before I start getting into the content, if you would like to leave questions underneath on the Buddhist Biohacker stream, underneath the live stream, please feel free to do that, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Alternately, if you like to message me, on Instagram at Julie Hoyle True Alignment, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Or alternately, if you'd like to message me, my email address is truealignment@yahoo.com. So feel free to ask as many questions as you like with respect to lucid dreaming, or anything else that comes up with respect to your own spiritual awakening or spiritual journey. So again, just for context, which is really important to me. If you do not know my story, what happened is in 1989, I received spiritual initiation in a lucid dream from an extraordinary master, a yogic master who's a siddha. And siddhas, just so that you know, the whole purpose of a siddha is that they give initiation or spiritual awakening to seekers. And this spiritual awakening is called Shaktipat, which is, really about the descent of grace and the awakening of the Kundalini, all of which I knew absolutely nothing about. I was raised a Catholic, so this very sudden, very transformational awakening was really unexpected. I had no frame of reference to even really understand what was happening in the beginning. And it's because of Bhagavan Nityananda, this siddha, who gave me initiation, that I am sitting where I am right now, being able to offer and speak to what lucid dreams are all about and what they can gift you with. So I won't go too much more into the story about what happened with Bhagavan Nityananda's initiation, because I've covered that, in depth and at length in my book, An Awakened Life, A Journey of Transformation. And I've written about it in articles, many times. And I've also covered it in the course that I gave last week, Honoring Your Soul Contract. And I also touched on it in the Shamanic Energy Retrieval course that I gave a few days ago. So if you're interested in hearing the full story, you can either take a look at my book or, go listen to one or part of those courses that I have on the Buddhist Biohacker YouTube site. So to get into the content, let me just say from the beginning, since I've been very, very young, I've always had lucid dreams. I'm not someone that has really had to work and practice techniques to be able to lucid dream. They just have been with me and a part of my life since I was really, really, really young. However, having said that, what happened is after Bhagavan Nityananda gave Shaktipat in a dream, it was like the lid was blown off. All my, for want of a better term, my psychic gifts or my intuitive abilities and the propensity and the recurrence of the lucid dream experience kind of exploded, for want of a better word. And so what would happen is I would receive these incredible gifts in lucid dreams, because I would have lucid dreams with Lord Jesus, with Mother Mary, with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, with Tibetan shamans and with Native American shamans, and incredible beings would come into my life to give initiation, sometimes to heal when I was going through phases when I was really sick. They would come and press points in the body or, move me around and do things to the subtle body to heal. And I would also get teachings and directives for my life. So the reason I'm referencing all of this, again, is to really show gratitude to Bhagavan Nityananda for creating this, and to also tell you that the gift of this grace and the flow of this grace is available to you, because the energy of the entire planet is shifting and changing very dramatically. And it's really important for you to understand that. And I'm going to, this evening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you into 2 of my lucid dreams and have you participate as if you were standing in my shoes, receiving the gift of what these masters were giving to me. And the reason this is really important is two reasons, actually. One is in the first lucid dream, the master that comes to me asks a question. And this question is important for you to contemplate so that going forward, you can really identify and create an intention around why you want to lucid dream, what you hope to gain from lucid dreaming, and how can lucid dreaming help you in your life, in your spiritual growth and journey, and how can it help you, in your everyday life, in terms of your work, your relationships, and so on. So that's the first dream. The second dream that I want you to be a part of and to participate in and to be in my shoes in, a great being comes into the dream and he gives a very direct, very powerful message, which I have really leaned into and utilized for many, many years now. And it has had a huge, huge impact on all facets of my life, with respect to lucid dreaming, with respect to my waking life, my work, my relationships, my creative expressions, everything. It has had a huge impact. So we'll look at both of those dreams. You can come along with me. And I will also share really, really practical, accessible, easy, and very useful triggers and practices that you can utilize on a day-to-day basis that will help you become lucid in your dreams. Whether you are a beginner, you've never had a lucid dream before, but you're interested, whether you're somebody that has lucid dreams fairly regularly, whether you're somebody that has always lucid dreamed and would just like more of that, it really doesn't matter where you're at in terms of those different sort of stages, if you want to call it that. The important thing is that you take either one or two or all of what I'm sharing with you, and you have fun and you practice them. So in other words, don't go away from the session and do nothing. And by virtue of the fact that you are listening to and engaged in this session this evening, there's obviously something in you that is propelling you and urging you and speaking to you about the importance of lucid dreaming and how it can impact your life in a very positive and really dynamic way. All right, so if you're ready, let's go on a lucid dream journey together. Come with me with an open heart. Just be ready to go and put yourself in my shoes. So the dream, just to kind of set give you the setting for the dream. This dream happened, I think 2, 3, maybe 4 years after I received Shaktipat initiation from Bhagavan Nityananda. What happened was I sat up in bed and I said, this is a dream and I am dreaming. And that is always kind of the precursor for becoming awake in the dream. There's this recognition, you're kind of in a what I call an ordinary dream. But then there's this like flash, somehow, this recognition, oh, this is a dream and I'm dreaming. So I sat up in bed, said, this is a dream and I'm dreaming. And standing at the foot of the bed was an extraordinary Siddha master. And I was just overcome and thrilled and excited to see him. And it seemed totally normal that this great yogic master was standing at the foot of the bed. And Tony was asleep next to me. He didn't have a clue. So I jumped out of bed. I ran towards this great yogi. I put my hands over my heart and I just, I bowed to him. And he looked me in the eyes with so much love, and he said to me, "You called me. How can I help you? What do you want from me? You called me. How can I help you? What do you want from me?" So what I would love you to do, if you have a pen or a pencil or your journal close by, the first thing I want you to contemplate right now is, if you had the opportunity to invite a great being, a great master, a saint, an angel, if you like, or a great, body of light, into your life, into either a lucid dream or even into your waking state, who would that be? What form would that being take? Would it be Lord Jesus? Would it be Mother Mary? Would it be His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Would it be, Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel? Who would it be? What form would this movement of grace take? Think about that really carefully. Who would you invite into your life? What form would you invite? Which form to you represents the most amazing, the highest divinity? And once you clear on who that might be or what that might look like, because you have invited that being in, I want you now to contemplate the two questions. How can I help you? What can I do for you? Now, you can think about those questions and write them down now if they're coming up for you, spontaneously, and it's just really easy. I invite you to make note now, write them down and get clear. But if you feel like you really want to sit with those questions a little more in prayer and meditation after this session, then I would really encourage you to do that. Now, the reason both of these, or the two questions and then the form of the beings, the reason these are important things to contemplate is because if you want to lucid dream either more regularly or to start lucid dreaming, the very best way to prepare yourself is to create an intention and to invite grace in via the form that you most resonate with. So if it's Jesus, pray to Jesus and ask Jesus for guidance to help you move into a lucid dream and to be there and to meet you in a lucid dream so that you can receive guidance from him. So that really helps you to create kind of the first step, creating an intention around who is it, which being is it that you would love to have come visit you and bring you into a lucid dream. And then the two other questions are really important with respect to what you might be looking for in a lucid dream experience from the form of this great being. How can he or she help you? What would you say? And what can he or she do for you to help you on your spiritual path or to help you in your life with relationships or work or whatever that might be? So please give it time, give it thought, work with it, because this is all the energy of awakening. This is palpable, alive, activated energy that you are being gifted with this evening. So coming back to the dream, I didn't have to wait a second to respond to those questions. I didn't miss a beat. I said, in response to, how can I help you? What can I do for you? I said, well, a little bit more money would be nice. But what I love more than anything is to have the darshan of the saints, sages, and siddhas. That is what I love. That is what I love more than anything. And as soon as I said that, this great being bowed, and then he wrapped me in his arms. He held me really tight. I could feel my heart and his heart were just pulsating, this in the same way. And then I felt my heart really expand and fill the entire room. And then eventually, after several minutes, the great being pulled away, and I felt myself being drawn back to my body. And I woke up and was just filled with incredible bliss. Absolutely filled with bliss. And the thing that is really important from this, the way I'm describing this and sharing this with you, is that the proof that this great being responded to me was evident in my life, because my life changed in ways that I could never have imagined. I was directed to do all kinds of things that at that time, probably I would never have had the courage for. But somehow, through that transmission, through that grace, I was gifted with the courage and the strength to be able to do what I was directed to do. And even though this great being didn't say a word, he didn't say, yes, I'll do that for you, yes, I'll help you, or anything, but the gift of his silent promise was completely apparent in my life. So again, this is why it's really very beneficial to contemplate these things. Who would you invite? And how would you respond? You might ask for some kind of awakening. You might ask for spiritual gifts. You might ask for help with a work situation or a relationship. It really doesn't matter so much what you're asking for, but it's understanding, why and what is the, if you like, the impulse behind what you're asking for. And I promise you, you will see changes in your life if you start to work in this way with the energy of grace that is always available to us. So that's a little bit of homework. Now, what I'd like to cover is just a few very simple ways that you can initiate, moving from a regular dream into the lucid dream state. Now, I've been asked many, many, many times, really since the 80s, the late 80s, how can people lucid dream? What do they have to do? And all of those things. And the one thing that I always say, which is really true, is the more conscious you are in the waking state, the more you'll be able to lucid dream. Because let's face it, if you're walking through life, through the waking state, and you're asleep, or you're not even conscious in your own life, then it holds true that you will likely not wake up in the lucid dream state. Because essentially, one is a mirror for the other. Having said that, I'm going to give you some very simple techniques that will help you become more conscious in the waking state. The first one is called Chin Mudra. And Chin Mudra is very simple. It is the pose, if you like, that you hold with the forefinger and the thumb. You put them together when you are meditating. I learned that, years ago when I first started to meditate, and that was reinforced by these master yogis in dreams who would tell me the same thing, because it helps contain the energy and it stops, somehow it inhibits the movement of the mind to go off on these different trajectories and to be, lost and not focused on the present moment and being in your body, fully in your body, and fully conscious of where you are and what's happening now. So this practice is very simple. You can do it, as you're walking around. You can do it while you're sitting in meetings. You can do it when you're traveling, if you're a passenger in a car, you can do it wherever you are, essentially. Nobody will know. It's not like, it's noticeable. It's just very simple. It's a very simple practice. And you can do it, as often and as regularly as you possibly can during the day. And it will help trigger remembrance. So it's the same kind of technique that you're looking to practice in the lucid dream, which is triggering remembrance, triggering, this is a dream and I'm dreaming. So this brings you back to presence without getting kind of lost, so that you're actually in your body and you're actually here rather than someplace else. The other thing that you can do, which is very simple, which, and again, another great yogi master gave me, which is to enter any room or enter your house with your right foot. Or when you go into the food store, you enter with your right foot. When you go into your office building, enter with the right foot. Always enter any new structure or place or office or building with the right foot. I'll often kind of shuffle so that I can get my right foot in place. I've done it for years and years and years. And from the minute I was told to do that, I practiced it diligently. Because again, it's another way of triggering remembrance and bringing you into the present moment. And again, it doesn't cost anything. It's completely free. It doesn't require a lot of training or, effort. It's just very simple, very organic, and it's something that you can do repeatedly and very easily. And you might find in the beginning with both of these things that, you might remember 2 or 3 times a day and then think, oh, shoot, I forgot, let me come back. But the more you come back, the more you practice those things, the more aware you will become, to the point where it becomes second nature and you really don't have to think about it anymore because, it's right there. Now, a third thing you can do that will help to trigger remembrance and trigger your intention, if you like, and support your intention to lucid dream is, if you don't have one, buy yourself a really beautiful journal and have your journal by the side of the bed with a pen or a pencil, so that if you have even like a little 1 minute or 2 minute lucid dream, the minute you wake up, you can go straight to it, write everything down, and then you will not forget. After the dream I had with this great being that I just shared with you, when I came back to my body, I woke up, I looked at the clock, it was 3 a.m. And I grabbed my journal, grabbed my pen, and I crept out so I wouldn't wake Tony. And I went into the lounge and sat down and wrote everything down word for word, because it was important to me, and it's still important, to detail as accurately as I can every nuance and every detail of every lucid dream, because there's always more than one teaching inherent in a great being visiting in a lucid dream. And it can sometimes take years to really understand the many layers of what this great being is saying. And the other thing on that note too is to give your lucid dream a title, because again, inherent in what is happening within the dream, there's always a title that is really obvious. And so maybe 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years from now, when you go back and revisit that dream experience, both the title and everything you've written down will convey the same grace and the same energy. And I have to say, I think about, 10 journals with lucid dreams that I've written in, for years now. And no matter when I go back and no matter which dream I read and look at, it's like I'm still there. The energy is still alive. The energy is never diminished because it's living energy. It's the energy of these great beings that, is constant, and it's fully alive and fully available right now. So that's another fantastic practice that I would really encourage you. So, if you haven't got one, get yourself a journal, and just, be ready to write down anything that comes out of a lucid dream. Now, the other practice that you can do in the waking state is, in addition to all those things, is you can create an intention for yourself that you can use the same trigger. You can use the forefinger and your thumb, having chin mudra as a trigger, so that if you look down at your hands, you can say, in my lucid dream, or in a regular dream rather, if I look at my hands, I will remember this is a dream and I'm dreaming, and that will trigger lucidity. So you can focus on, some people say, they focus on just looking at if they see their right hand, they'll wake up. What worked for me was saying, if I see the sky, or when I see the sky in a lucid dream, in a regular dream, then that will trigger lucidity. And that worked for me again and again and again and again. It worked many times over. So all of these things, as simple as they are, really support waking up in your dream. And the more you wake up in the waking state, the more present you are in your waking state, the more possibility you'll have of waking up in your dream and realizing this is a dream and I am dreaming, and really, enjoying the fruit of what that will be there to tell you and to show you and to reveal to you. All right, so now what I want to do is invite you into the second dream, to come along with me during this second dream. Again, place yourself in my shoes. Gift of the statement that the great being is gifting you with. So in this second dream, I was walking along a path, consciousness, or you could say light. So you're actually saying, I bow to the light within me, I bow to the light within me, or I surrender to the light within me, in other words. I completely surrender to the grace of the light, the fullness of the light within my being. So I was walking along a path. There was a long path that led up to this really, really beautiful house. And to give you an idea of what this house looked like, it kind of reminded me of those beautiful old houses in the movie Gone with the Wind. With a great big kind of wraparound balcony. And it wasn't 2-story though, it was more like a 3-story or 4-story even building. It was an old structure. The sun was going down, it was getting quite dark, I was alone. However, I wasn't afraid. I was walking along with the absolute certainty that I was being called to go inside this old house, and I knew I would meet a great master. I didn't know who it was, but I could feel without a shadow of a doubt that I was going to meet, I was going to have the darshan, I was going to be in the company of a great being. So I started walking along. I went up the steps, through the front door, and when I walked into the front room, there was no furniture in there at all. There were no furnishings in there. It was completely stripped bare. There was nothing. So I walked through that room, then I walked into the kitchen, I walked into other rooms there, and there was no one around. So then I decided to go up the stairs and just, keep repeating the mantra, following my heart, and just going with the flow of what I felt like I should do, which was to continue going into all the rooms. So again, I did that on the second floor, and there was no one. So I went up to a third floor, and again, walked in and out of all the rooms, could not find anyone. And so then I looked around and I saw a narrow staircase that was leading up to the last and final room in the house. And I felt completely compelled. So I started climbing the stairs. And then I got to the door and I opened the door. And the room was completely empty, completely bare, other than His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, was sitting on a wooden chair, looking towards the door, and there was a small wooden chair facing him. So I walked into the room and I knew he was waiting for me. And he smiled really broadly and was laughing a little. And then he indicated for me to take a seat. And I sat down and he said, "Do you have a question?" And honestly, I could not think of a single thing to say because I was so ecstatic. I was so delighted to see him. I just I didn't want to even think about the question. So the only thing I could say is, when I see you, all I can say is Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. In other words, when I see you, all I can say is I bow to the light within me, I bow to the light within me, I bow to the light within me. So he was laughing and smiling, and then he leaned forward. He rested his right ear against my heart, and he closed his eyes. And I knew that he was listening to the sound of the mantra, which was repeating itself inside my heart. And he listened and he listened and he listened for quite some time. And then he sat back up, and with the most incredible love and generosity, he leaned forward and he said, "They have made it so that you can do anything you want to do in this life." And then he sat back. "They have made it so that you can do anything you want to do in this life." So the next thing I felt, the energy of the dream was just kind of dissipating, and I was being pulled back into waking. And of course I woke up, and the first thing I did was grab my journal and my pen and tiptoe out and then go and write every single detail down in my journal so that I could really treasure what His Holiness gifted me with. And I have to say, and I believe this dream was, I think, in the very early 90s, something like that. And I cannot tell you how powerfully that one sentence has shaped, informed, and directed my life. It's been amazing. And the thing that is really very important to understand is that when His Holiness said, they have made it so that you can do anything you want in this life, when He was speaking of they, He was referring to the great masters, the great yogis, Lord Jesus, Mother Mary, the saints, the siddhas, the angels, and all the great beings who are available to us every single minute of every day, whenever we call on them or whenever we bring them to remembrance. We are inviting their presence into our life, and we are inviting their grace. So this gift that the Dalai Lama gave to me, I am sharing and offering to you this evening for you to take and to receive as a gift from His Holiness Himself for your life. And that message is, they have made it so that you can do anything you want to do in this life. And this message is so important given what is happening in the world today. It really, 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 really has great value for you and for your life and what you're being called to. Because what the great beings need is more people who are awake in the waking state, who are awake in the dream state, and who can initiate awakening in those people that are sleepwalking through life or who are suffering. Because the thing with people who are suffering is that what they're really suffering from, they might say it's because they're in a bad relationship or because they hate their job or whatever the story is. But the real suffering in this world is about feeling separate from God, feeling disconnected, feeling that, our life has no value. So the more you can wake to the beauty and the grace of what is available, the more you can help others also awaken to the beauty and the grace of what is available and to the beauty and grace of who they really are. Because this is all about being conscious and being awake. So before we kind of wrap up this evening's session, I want to come back again to a few triggers that you can utilize to help you be, more conscious in your waking state, and also to trigger remembrance in the dream state. So, what I would do is, one of the things I would do, in addition to all the, practices we've covered in the beginning, I would really start trying to focus on, before you go to sleep, just calming your mind. So in other words, not getting too distracted with your phone or television or whatever, just kind of quiet yourself down a bit, try and go into sort of a meditative space, say your prayers or repeat your mantras, and just calm the mind as much as possible. Because if the mind's really busy when you're going to sleep or trying to go to sleep, it's much more likely that you'll have what I call a regular dream, or a dream where you're trying to sort of, oftentimes release anxiety or fear that has come up for you during the day. So that's a very, very, very simple thing that you can do. The other thing that you can do is, when you wake up in the morning and you're still kind of in your dream and you're feeling a bit, it's like you can hardly come out of the dream, but the alarm's gone off and you really got to start your day and all of that. If you can just for a minute or two, stay in the dream and kind of start directing the dream or changing the ending of the dream or playing around with it a little bit, what you're doing is you are creating a practice where you're bridging the waking state and the dream state. You're kind of in, I think, what that scientists call the hypnagogic state, which is the state between waking and dreaming. And if you can kind of bridge that a little bit and practice bridging that and stay conscious with it, then that really has a very big effect on your capacity to wake up in the dream and have a lucid dream. And I used to do that quite a bit, especially, if I had a dream where I kind of didn't like the ending, or it didn't quite, you wake up, you wanting to know what happens. So, and you don't get there because you wake up. And I would stay in the dream for a few minutes and then just kind of like create the outcome that I really wanted to try and sort of affect. So that's another really, really simple thing that you can do as well and bring into practice. And again, if you wake up, from a dream and you've had a really scary or a really negative dream, you can, instead of trying to oftentimes you try and sort of close out and get busy and forget all about the dream. But while you're in that dream, as you're coming out of it, you can go back in and just try and resolve or heal or change the dynamic of what's going on, or confront the kind of the negative characters, or, turn yourself into a hero and try and sort of work with the energy of the dream that way. And that really does, help again with lucidity in the dream state, because it's really the thing with waking up in a dream is that it's the smallest slither of a fraction of a second that kind of can initiate that remembrance. It doesn't take much. And it's really about kind of grabbing hold of that and staying with it and focusing on it. And then, moving into remembrance so that you can wake up in your dream. And obviously, the more you practice everything, I spoke about earlier with, in the waking state, will make a huge, huge, huge difference. Another thing you can do in the waking state is you can look up to the sky, or whatever you're doing, and think to yourself, this is a dream and I am dreaming in the waking state, and keep repeating that. I used to repeat that, really regularly all the time. Of course, I never said it out loud because people would think you're a complete lunatic. But the truth is, this is a dream also. The waking state is a dream. The dream state is a dream. The thing is that master yogis say that the real state is turiya, which is translated as that which is the fourth. The fourth state is the real waking state, the real state. And the way they explain that is you have the waking state, you have the dream state, you have the state of deep sleep. And turiya is that which remains awake and aware through, each of those states of being. It is that which precedes all of those states of being. It is absolute awareness itself. So what happens is, when you start to wake up and you realize, this is a dream, really. And the thing is, until we wake up, we're all hypnotized into believing, that I am my body, I am my mind, everything I think is the truth. my feelings are real, everything all my opinions are, correct. And we're also influenced by everybody else, what they think, what they say, what their beliefs are. And we believe all of that, even though these people, for the most part, most people aren't awake. They don't have a clue who they are. So the minute you start to recognize, wait a minute, there's a space between each thought, what is that space? And when you start to see, oh, what I believe or what I think isn't who I am. And in fact, some of these thoughts and beliefs and ideas have been inherited from parents or from teachers or from whoever. And you start inquiring into who am I, then you wake up and realize that you are not the personal identity. You're not your thoughts, your beliefs or opinions. You are something much, much, much more than that. Something prior to that. And awareness is here prior to all of those beliefs and opinions. And that is who you are. So when you wake up out of the hypnosis of thinking you are this person with these beliefs and ideas and so on, everything you think is true, then for sure you will start waking up in your dream. And the thing is that great masters, great yogis, enlightened beings, gurus, oftentimes do not sleep for many hours at night because they're awake during the day, and because they're awake during sleep, they're not as exhausted, they're not as spent. So they don't need as much time to be able to sort of recoup and recover because they're constantly awake. So all of these things that I've shared with you this evening are very, very helpful in terms of your own awakening, your own spiritual journey, with respect to your lucid dreaming, your capacity to have lucid dreams, your capacity to invite great beings into your dreams to give teachings and initiations. And it's also really valuable with respect to who you are, what your life is about, and how you would like to utilize the energy of awakening, the energy of grace, the energy of what you've been given to, orient yourself in alignment with the truth of who you are. And the beauty of all of that, and I can really speak from my own direct experience, is that the more lucid you become in your waking state, the more lucid you become in your dream state, and essentially the more awake you are, the more you are in alignment with the flow of life itself, and you are in alignment with these amazing synchronicities that open up, and the guidance that presents itself, and the people that show up to support you, and the great opportunities that suddenly land in your lap. And there's not as much kind of striving and pushing and sort of trying to, fight against or manufacture something or, put energy behind this great effort. It becomes what the yogis call the effortless effort. Life is sweeter. It feels natural. You can be who you are. It doesn't require a great deal of force, because hey, who needs life is challenging enough. You do not need to have to push and force anything. What's important is that you are inviting into your life what is really natural and beautiful and graceful and elegant for you, so that you can receive and benefit from it, and then benefit the lives of everyone who you come into contact with. So my blessing for you my wish for you, my gift for you is that you receive the gifts that you've been given this evening and you work with them to great effect. And I pray and I hope and I bless every effort of yours so that you are imbued with the most amazing lucid dream experiences, and that those lucid dream experiences bless every facet of your life going forward, because the world really needs your light. It needs your insight, your gifts. It needs you to show up and be you rather than, the effort of trying to be someone else. To be you as you are and to be joyful. So thank you everyone for participating. As I said earlier, I really, really love sharing about anything to do with lucid dreams, because what I've been gifted with has been the greatest treasure, and I really value it. And I wish and hope and pray the same for you. So many thanks for being here. Have a blessed and wonderful rest of the evening, and have wonderful, wonderful and light-filled lucid dream experiences. Thank you so much, and good night, everybody.